Hello, I'm Ray with another ghost story, or rather the continuation of a story from a year ago. Do you remember last Halloween I told you about what I called the Halloween children? It was Halloween night and there was the trick and treat. Two children came to the door for their sweets, but they weren't children of this earthly plane. They were ghosts, ghost children. And I told you about that. The Vicar's Wife, I won't go through it all now. It's probably best if you watch the Halloween children video first. But or if you've forgotten it, perhaps go and refresh your memory on that one. If not, don't worry. Basically, the Halloween children came to stay. I met them on Halloween night. They took sweets. The Vicar's Wife, she happened to see through the lounge window, the children. She could see them as well. I thought I was the only one that could see these people from the other side, dead people if you like, from the other side, the spiritual world or wherever they are. But she could see them as well, and that was our kind of shared interest. The Vicar's Wife and I had. Her husband didn't agree with all this. He was dead against it, being the vicar. So I saw her 2 or 3 times over the year. We met in the village. She came round a couple of times just for a chat. The children hadn't been back. I'd been trying to remove myself from all this to an extent. I wanted to live a normal life, I didn't want to keep seeing dead people, if you like. I had ghosts in my house, It wasn't. What was that noise? Right, what have I attracted? Anyway, I'll start the story. If you haven't seen the other video, don't worry. So basically, the Vicar's Wife, she came round to see me one evening, held up a carrier bag. Cold beers, she said. Now, she was early 30s, vivacious, very attractive, extremely attractive, but she was the Vicar's Wife. So that's where it ended. We were friends, we had this interest, this sort of this bond, I suppose, to an extent between us, which was the spiritual side, and we used to share our experiences. But there we are. She turned up with these beers. She walked past me into the kitchen. I closed the front door, followed her, and she's putting the beers in the fridge. So I said, which I shouldn't have done, I said, to what do I owe the pleasure? And she giggled. She'd already been drinking, I could tell that. She did like a drop of alcohol. And she said, it's Halloween. And I'd forgotten all about it. I said, oh, is it? Oh, yes, I'd forgotten. And she said, haven't you got sweets by the front door in case the children come back? As I told you, the children came last year, the ghost children. And I said, no, I'd just forgotten all about it. Anyway, out of the bag, she said, look, sweets. She took a bowl out of the cupboard, put the sweets in the bowl, put the bowl by the front door in case the children turned up. And I said, well, I hope they don't. They'd moved on. They'd moved on to wherever. And I didn't really want them coming back. And anyway, she said, oh, well, we'll see what happens. So we sat in the lounge and she's drinking beer. So I had a beer. I had plenty in the fridge anyway, but she bought a load of beers. And we sat in the lounge and we were just sort of generally chatting about experiences. Had I seen anything else? And I said, no, I'm trying to move away from this. So I was pleased that I had seen 1 or 2 things, but I'd not acknowledged. I saw an elderly gentleman appeared. I didn't acknowledge him and he finally went away. 1 or 2 other experiences like that. And I explained to her that I was trying to move on from this. She was great company. I lived alone, and she was great company. But as I said, the Vicar's Wife, she was a flirt. Everyone knew that in the village. And in her own word, she was salacious in the extreme. Well, no, she didn't say it. She just said that she's a salacious type of person. And I said, where's your husband now? I just sort of suddenly realised after we had a couple of beers, like, where is he? How come you've got out? And she said, oh, he's at a seminar. I misheard her and I said, the cinema? What's he doing there? What film's he watching? Of course, she had a giggling fit, laughing. No, not the cinema, a cinema. And yeah, as I say, she was great company. We were both laughing and having a really nice evening. And I said, well, what if he phones and you're out? She said, oh, the phone's been dodgy. She said it's been dodgy for the last couple of days. sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. She said, so if I don't answer the phone, even if it does ring, he won't think anything because we've had the problem, and someone's coming out to look at it at some stage. So I wasn't sure whether to believe that or not, but she seemed genuine. I think what it was, as her husband was so straight-laced, and the vicar, she had to sort of play the role of the vicar's wife. Not that she did that very well with the various rumours flying around the village, but it must have been difficult for her, especially the sort of person she was, and she just loved to escape. I think it was just escapism every now and then, coming to see me, having a few drinks and a laugh, basically, just escape, unwind, recharge her batteries, then go back to the vicarage and her husband. So that was all right. She said, he's at the seminar, he's not back till tomorrow afternoon. So that wasn't a problem. We carried on chatting, and she said, I've met this girl, ghost girl. Her name is Martha, early sort of 20s, 22, 23, something like that. And she was saying, she doesn't say much. She said, I do all the talking. The girl doesn't say much, just enough to her name and things like that, but couldn't actually find anything out about the girl. And I said, where did you meet her? Was it at the vicarage? She said, no, in a pub. I said, what do you mean you met a ghost girl in a pub? She said, this pub in a town, nearby town. I said, I know that pub. I said, that's a bit rough. It's a bit of a seedy pub. What are you doing there? As if I did. Yes, anyway. She said, I'd arranged to meet my sister. And she said, I met this Martha in the toilet. I said, well, you met a ghost girl in a toilet of a seedy pub? And she said, well, yeah. She said, she's a fun-loving girl like me. She likes a laugh. She likes a bit of fun. And I did say to her, look, I said, it's probably not a good idea to kind of get to know someone like that from the other side. I said, there is evil around. You can attract evil from the other side, the other world, or whatever it is. I said, oh, no, Martha's not evil. She's like me. She likes a laugh and a bit of fun. And I said, yeah, all the same, what's she doing in a pub toilet, Anyway, she said, well, why not? I suppose it was a point, where would they meet? I'd had people like the children come to my house. I'd met them elsewhere, but it's not in the pub toilet. It just didn't seem quite fitting. I don't know. Perhaps it's just me. But she said, no, Martha's a lovely girl. She's not evil at all. And she said, she's been to the vicarage a few times, and they've had a chat, or rather, the girl doesn't do much chatting. But she smiles and nods and grins and the rest of it. And she said, it's all perfectly harmless. And she said, they get on very well, even though there's not a great deal of two-way conversation. I was sitting in the lounge with my back to the hall, the doorway to the hall, and she was sitting there so she could see into the hall. And she suddenly said, she was just swigging her beer, and she nearly choked on it. She said, there's Martha. I looked round, I couldn't see it. I followed her out, and this girl had gone into the dining room. And into the corner. I mean, the dining room light wasn't on, but the light from the hall was shining in. But you could see this girl in the dark corner of the dining room. See, and the vicar's wife said to me, this is Martha. So she said, Martha, this is Ray. And this Martha looked, I said hello, and she looked at me and grinned. And I don't know, I don't know what it was. Couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something I wasn't sure of. It didn't feel right somehow. So anyway, I sort of left the two of them chatting. I mean, well, they weren't both chatting. Martha was quiet, but the vicar's wife saying, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you've come here to meet Ray." And so I said, "I'll leave you two alone to chat." As I said that, I looked at the girl, and she grinned at me and licked her lips. I just thought, this isn't right. This isn't right. I went into the lounge. And after a few minutes, she came back and she said, Martha's gone. And I said, oh, okay. I was quite relieved, actually. I was quite pleased about that. I didn't want her there. I don't know what it was. There was something about her I didn't like. I was uneasy, unsure of. And she said, what did you think of her? So I said, yes, I could see her, she seemed all right. She said, did you find her attractive? I said, well, that was the last thing on my mind, to be honest. She's a ghost girl. She said, yes, but think of her now. Did you find her attractive? Do you think she's attractive? And I said, yes, I suppose she is, yes. She's early 20s. Attractive, yes. And she said, bet you'd like to meet her in real life. I thought it a strange thing to say. I just laughed and said, yes, that would be fun, and left it at that. She changed. I don't know what it was. She had a lot of beer, I know that, but she changed. She was, I just put it down to the drink. She went and got another can from the fridge, and she was on that. And she'd said that she'd already had vodka before she left at home. And then I wondered what was going to happen. I thought, what's going on here? That there's this Martha. I didn't like that. I've got the vicar's wife here. What if her husband came home early? What if he'd not gone to the seminar at all? What if he'd followed her to my place? Scandal in the village. All this crossed my mind. And then she just said to me, she grinned, and she said, there's something I haven't told you. So I said, well, what's that? She said, my husband and I, we've split up. Now, I said, what? And I was shocked. I said, you split up? She said, yes, we're getting divorced. She said, I moved out some time ago. And I said, I didn't know. I said, I'm sorry to hear it. She said, well, I'm not. And she laughed, she's giggling and laughing. And she said, I'm staying with my mother just till the divorce comes through and we get it all sorted out. So I said, I really am sorry to hear that, even if a marriage isn't very good. It's a shame when people split up like that. There are no children involved, fortunately. And she said, there are, you see, so you needn't worry that I'm the vicar's wife anymore. I'm footloose and fancy free, as she put it. Naughty though it was, I started to look at her in a different light. She was slim, as I've said, very attractive, very pretty, long blonde hair. She sat opposite me in the lounge with this sort of skirt riding up a little bit, and it was the beer, it was me, it was all naughty. We had a few more drinks, and she said, I can't go, I can't go home to my mother in this state. I'd better stay here. So I said, okay, yeah, okay, if she's getting divorced, yeah, fair enough. So that was that. We made the decision, yes, we made the decision. She was going to stay with me for the night. The following day I woke up, she was still asleep. I went and had a shower, got dressed, made some coffee in the kitchen, made some toast. She eventually came through with a quilt wrapped round her, and she sat down. I gave her the coffee, and she said, "God, what a night!" And I said, "Yes, it was rather." And she said, "I can't remember a thing." And I said, "Well, all the alcohol you'd had, I'm not surprised." And then she said, "Where did you sleep? On the sofa?" And I thought, she honestly can't remember. I just said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, sorry about that, taking your bed. Were you okay?" I said, yeah, the sofa was fine. I thought, she must remember something. She sort of looked around and she said, "Who undressed me? Was it you?" I said, no. She said, "Oh, I must have undressed myself." She said, "I just can't remember a thing." And I said, "It must be all the alcohol." And I was thinking, that wasn't the alcohol, that was weird. You can't remember anything. And I said, "What do you remember? Where from, sort of thing. What do you remember?" And she said, "I remember talking to Martha." She said, "I was talking to her, and then I can't remember anything after that." She finished her coffee and toast, went and had a shower, got dressed, came back to me in the kitchen, very apologetic. She said, "Oh, sorry, stayed the night. I shouldn't have done that." And she said, I better go. And I said, "Yeah, your mother will be wondering where you are." And she said, "My mother?" I said, "Yeah, you're staying with your mum, won't she, wonder where you are?" And she said, "Staying with my mum?" She said, "Ray, I'm not 16. She said, "My mum lives in Australia anyway." So she said, "What on earth gave you that idea?" I said, I must have had a dream. I said, "I dreamt you were getting divorced." And she laughed. She said, "Divorced? Certainly not." She said, "I'm not living with my mum or getting divorced." She said, "My husband's home this afternoon. He's back from the seminar. He's home this afternoon." She said, I've got to get rid of this hangover and sort myself out. I was speechless. I just didn't know what to say. I just stared at her open mouthed. I didn't know what to say. She was then saying about, I don't want him to know I've been out all night. I've never stayed out all night before. And I thought, all these rumours flying around the village about her, what's going on here? And she said, she laughed again, and she said, divorce? No. She said, I know everyone thinks I'm a flirt, she said, but I can tell you one thing, I've never been unfaithful to my husband, ever. As she opened the front door, she turned and smiled. She said, I'll see you again soon. And I just said, yes, okay. She closed the door and she'd gone. I just was left stunned. I stood in the hallway stunned. I didn't know what to think. She obviously had been influenced by Martha, possessed, if that's the right word, I don't know. Something had happened. She had no recollection of it. I thought, well, that's what I should do. Forget the whole thing. Just forget it. She had stayed. Only we knew that. She had stayed. I'd slept on the sofa. Leave it at that. I eventually sort of pulled myself together. I thought, that's what I'll do. I went into the bedroom. I thought I'll tidy up. I went into the bedroom, and there was Martha sitting on the edge of the bed, looking up at me, grinning.